All right. We're live. We're here. Here super early. Obviously, this is the start of the NFL season. I went ahead and sent this to go live 5 minutes before um it was scheduled to, only because look, man, we have the F1 race in 50 minutes. Let me mute that now that now I can hear myself. We got the F1 race that starts in 50 minutes. We have NASCAR today. Obviously, it's the start of the NFL season. Counter Strike, the Blast Open Grand Final starts in 2.5 hours. So figured I'd get this out early. I doubt there will be many people who watch it, but if there is or are anybody who wants to watch it very quickly, as stated, at least for today, right? For TrueDFS, if you want to have practically 3 sites in one with all the data that we have and provide, that Sheets provides, which, hey, Sheets just finished second in the UFC card again last night, and I believe in one of the baseball slates as well. We have Jay McCool's Paydirt Analytics in all of our stuff as well for his tools for MLB, NFL, NBA, and then obviously we're partnered with SaberSim. If you use code NFL 2025, no spaces, all characters, not like spelling out 2025 or whatever. You get 33% off your first month of any of the packages that you see here that are the SaberSim packages. I'm not sure why you would buy a NASCAR package at this point in the year with 10 races left, but hey, man, you do you. In terms of the value that we have, I understand a lot of people are running sales right now, but having 3 sites in one for these prices here, and specifically for the Sims, I would totally get that. That's just me. We're probably going to be pretty fast here today, just because, as I said, F1 starts soon, and there's not going to be a lot of people talking about NASCAR. I do expect, and I would probably actually maybe do 30 lineups in the main, just because you know it's going to fill. It'll be at 8,800 people, but I just have to imagine it's going to be a bit softer than normal. Obviously, everybody is focused on NFL, and actually actually I'm not even sharing my screen here. I do apologize. Whoopsie daisy. Let me divert your pricing and everything to the packages I was just mentioning. Obviously, you have Paydirt Analytics for MLB, NFL, baseball, and that comes back. I just wanted to show that. Anyway, I have to imagine the pricing, or not the pricing, but the pool of competitive lineups in this NASCAR contest might be a bit softer than normal. And actually, I was going to advise people to play the MLB slate this year, but they completely obliterated that guy. And it's only 1,100 people, so that's really unfortunate. So it seems like NASCAR is really the only slate that or sport that has any type of competitive or sizable contest during the week 1 NFL slate. So um, yeah. So as we look at this, obviously 2 groups in practice and stuff like here. We did have several drivers test the Iowa tire here at Gateway earlier in the season, but yet again, we have an idea of where everybody should be running, or at least I do, right? Well, whenever I say we, it's just like me, right? Because I have my running data on the side. I just want to mention really fast that when I'm looking at my exposure rates, or at least my top 1,000 lineups, which, as I said, I think I'm going to throw at least 30 in the main contest here. Obviously, I'm pretty split on Hamlin and Larson. I think they're pretty identical. Starting 1-2, I would lean heavily towards Larson. We get Kyle Larson at $9,500 starting second. I mean, that is a pretty substantial discount on the upside that Larson can provide. And obviously, it's Larson or whatever, but I really, really like Larson. I mean, you're telling me we get him cheaper than literally 5 contenders in this race? Larson's at a substantial discount from what he should be. Larson should always be like 10-2. Regardless, he's starting second. He tested this tire in at a tire test. I mean, I'm gonna have a lot on Larson today. This just seems like one of those slates to do it. Let me go and see what SaberSim has these ownerships at. I mean, they're leaning Hamlin both a projection standpoint and ownership standpoint. I know Sheets will have his stuff up, which I would default to whatever projection Sheets ends up having whenever he runs his stuff. But I really really like Larson, and if I'm playing Hamlin, I'm actually very much open to playing Larson and Hamlin together. I really don't want Hamlin solo. When we look at the amount of teams that have had speed at the short tracks this year, I mean, obviously Penske and Joe Gibbs and stuff, obviously, but this race should go green for the most part, okay? And when we look at people who should be able to get up through the field, there shouldn't really be a lot of true like place differential plays coming through. I mean, obviously we have Ryan Preece come through the field, and then a lot of guys arguing to hit value with like Haley, Gill, and Bowman. I mean, Bowman was absolutely terrible last week at Darlington, which usually doesn't concern me at all, right? I usually don't care about that, but when you're projected to run much better at Darlington at an intermediate track and you are that slow, and then you almost do a repeat here of starting in a similar situation to where like I have Bowman, projected to finish, top 16, but I'm concerned that, you know, maybe they're just missing right now. Like they should have performed way, way, way better over the course of the Darlington race than they should have. Let's see. But in terms of place differential, like we really don't have anybody back here to chase other than Priest, and even he's at $6,900. Bowman's at 73. Ty Gibbs is at 67. Really, the most expensive place differential play is Kyle Busch, which last year he had an extremely fast car here, but I mean this year, like, yes, he's had a lot of issues, and he's been in a lot of situations where he's had to drive up back through the field. But him at 8,000, I would just rather if I'm playing, if I'm paying 8 or at least low nines for people, I'd rather hit, you know, Logano, starting 13th. I'd rather hit a Cindric starting ninth at $8,500. Like if I specifically just want my 6 and 7K plays coming from the back of the field today, and potentially Chris Buescher. But like when I'm looking at my highest predicted lineups and stuff, which these aren't typically the ones I'm gonna end up running and stuff. Let me remove the Hamlin stuff so you can. Well, we need a lot more than the pool that we have here, and the pool of the top 1,000 lineups here, right? But like the top, Larson line on my stuff, Larson, Blaney, Logano, Bowman, Gibbs, and Jones, like maybe not necessarily the Jones play here, but this is very similar to how I envision playing a lot of my Larson lines today. When I look at my Hamlin lines, as I said, I would rather get the leverage and play Hamlin and Larson together, and you end up running in a situation like this where I guess my stuff likes Jones today. What do I have Jones projected for here? Why is Jones popping up in my stuff so much? Which is typically a situation where I just end up playing him. If I've done my stuff and I'm like, why is Jones popping up? What do I have him for? I don't even have him at value. That's crazy. I have him for 32 points. That's very interesting. I mean that's mainly how I'm gonna be looking at. I don't know if I want to spend the money on Elliott. I will say right now, if you are able to bet in your state, um, in terms of the playoff guys, if we have any value, whatever, I would actually put money on Elliott to win the championship, or at least to get the championship for it, because he's projected to not do that. Um, I mean, he's 88. I don't. Let me see what his spread is in my stuff, because I just ended up doing this since I went to bed early, since I needed to get up early to do this, put my F1 lines up, so on and so forth. Let's see where Elliott is. So Elliott is in my top 17% of lineups, but he's projected to be pretty highly owned, which and highly owned. I mean, nearly 40 on what Saberson is right now. I'll be very curious. I will say if he's projected to be anywhere over 35 percent owned, I will absolutely be underweight on Elliott. I don't necessarily love him at all. I was looking at him in the sense of, hey, maybe he's not being played, but uh maybe he is. I mean, I have him for 42.6 points. That's a 4.8 value. Um I would much rather play Ty Gibbs, Alex Bowman, Keselowski, Preece over Chase Elliott today. So, if we're being aware, which let's actually do that really fast. As I said, this will be a pretty. We gotta go back to classic here. This will be a pretty soft slate in terms of like most people are gonna just hop in here and run the projections, right? So let's go ahead and see what the field is running here. I'll be here for probably another 10-15 minutes. I want to just check and see any late news for F1 and stuff for my lineups. But if everybody's just gonna hop in there and just run stuff raw, I think this is actually a time where you probably don't want to be. Yeah. So okay, this is really interesting. Obviously, I'm okay with the Priest um, ownership, but being that high on Hamlin over Larson and then having that much Chase Elliott, expected that the field's gonna have like this Hamlin Larson. So even this stuff likes Hamlin and Larson together, but it's liking Elliott a lot too. I mean, I think this is actually a really, really good lineup. This will absolutely be duplicated and probably a lineup that I don't want to be on and stuff. Because you have the two favorites lead laps. Obviously, it loves Elliott, but it has Priest and Gibbs, which I think Priest and Gibbs are phenomenal plays today based on their pricing. I'd probably either want to be with the field or slightly overweight on them. Yeah, what's going on, Ross? We'll talk about Chastain in a second here, but this Elliott ownership is a pretty big concern for me, um, especially that much in the field. I think if nothing changes, yet again, we are. I have no clue how many hours away we are. We are nearly 7 hours away from the start of this race. But if we start, if Elliott's predicted to be highly owned, I think he's the first guy that I'd want to be severely underweight on, and I think that'll give you a pretty significant advantage in this contest here. Where is Chastain? So Chastain is $7,900 starting fourth. I have him projected for. I have him for 28.75 points. I have him projected to finish ninth today with some fast laps and stuff. Like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Similar to the Williams to Wallace, which I was competing for the optimal before we had that restart crash and stuff. And then the only reason I didn't compete for that is because Williams to Wallace ended up outscoring some of the guys that I have. Which, shout out to Parker Retzlaff finishing 8th and Brendan Poole finishing 12th and stuff. Yet again, this is one where I probably won't have much Chastain just because I like people much cheaper or a little bit cheaper than him starting way farther back in the field. Hocevar, as I said, Ty Gibbs, Priest, like with Chastain being at 79, like you are usually it's not that big of an issue pricing wise with someone at $7,900, but when you have so many people in the 7 and 6K ranges in the back of the field, you're absolutely giving up play in them to get a Chastain in your line at the detriment that Chastain is starting fourth and that he is way more expensive than they are. So I will just not. I will probably not end up having any Chastain today at all. That's where my thoughts are. I really like Larson at 95. You're telling me we're gonna get Larson at a substantial discount here, like that's pretty crazy. These are days where I want to be severely over the field on Larson and stuff. Ross, if you have any other questions or that you'd like me to go over and look at for the slate, do let me know since we've been here for about 15 minutes here. But look, as we did extremely well here, I'll just actually go over here and show so we can. So I had this is where I was at yesterday. Obviously Creed got taken out, and Sammy Smith had the brake caliper stuff, but the lineups that didn't have these two, which were I had one that had Matt Mills fighting directly against Brendan Poole. I actually had the same line twice, just swapped Matt Mills and Brendan Poole. Actually, we can check it out here. Today's gonna be a fucking disaster. Today's just gonna be a mess. I hate main slate shit at all, so this is not gonna be fun at all. So this lineup, these two, obviously the difference is Poole over Mills. This lineup was competing to be optimal all day until we had the crash that let Retzloff and stuff happen. I believe on this one we're only 7 positions off, which we got beat by you know to Benedetto and a Retzloff combination. Well, I guess Ekis as well. But in the second half of this year, I've just been trusting whatever my projections are showing me to build with, and stuff. So like at this point, I'm just approaching today with what my stuff likes, and obviously, you can see roughly where my projections are here. I mean, I'm playing the people that tell me to play. So that is the guys in green and or yellow here, like, and that's yeah. So I don't really have much else to say past that. Not really concerned about practice data. Obviously, the two groups and whatever. I just focus on the race data and stuff there. Thoughts on McDowell from Daryl. From a build perspective, I like, especially to get different. I like Haley. I like McDowell. In terms of when there's Spire cars in the back of the field, and especially like I haven't done it yet. I don't. I mean, I'm not. We don't need to build that out. Um, I like McDowell from just a build perspective. If I still go and hand build and work on stuff. If I'm trying to get different or something, I really like McDowell, and I really like Haley today, especially at their pricing, especially McDowell. Like I'm envisioning it if I have like Larson, 2 chalk plays or whatever, and then I throw McDowell in there. I'm pretty satisfied with what that lineup is going to be, and so I will probably actually have quite a lot of McDowell and quite a lot of Haley. When I mean that, probably 20-25%, but that's still quite a lot for a McDowell or Haley line. Um, I've been playing a lot of McDowell lately. I don't exactly know, other than to get different, right? But I've been playing a lot of McDowell lately, and it has not been working out. But he's been fairly unlucky with. He's been underperforming based on where he should be at in these. The fact that we get a safety net of him at 59, starting 28th, at this track, I'm okay with McDowell, especially when I look at our value range is in the 6K range for the majority of it, but like in the 5K range, there's really not a lot of playable guys. Like we're not playing SVG, we're not playing Gregson, which SVG starting 18th. I wish he was starting a little bit farther back because he's going to have to. I think he easily makes it to the next round of the playoffs, but he needs to at least not finish bad. But like I don't really want to play Stenhouse. I like Ty Dillon as well. Very similar to play to McDowell. I actually really like Ty Dillon today. Um, Not from a points perspective at all, but from a lineup construction and from a upside. Dillon has been performing pretty well this year, actually. Uh, we are going to uh stat log this here and stuff, but like this here, we'll do it. We'll just do it together. And I usually normally don't ever just look at this type of stuff here, but like look at where he's normally starting. I mean, he's normally starting way better than basically dead last. Like he has not done that really at all this year. And we look at his finishing positions. I don't even care about focusing on, you know, obviously that's Daytona. Obviously we have Watkins Glen and stuff, but for the most part, I mean, he has actually not been that terrible, right? And starting dead last today at 5,000, I really like Ty Dillon. I like McDowell. These people are in 5K range. That if I need the salary, if I'm in that range, these will probably be the guys that I default to today. In fact, like What does Samerson have Ty Dillon at? It can't be drastically high, right? Like, I just can't imagine where. Yeah, Ty Dillon is not projected to be played at all, and I think any projection for Ty Dillon is probably actually wrong. Like, I have him for, uh, 24 today. I just think that's wrong, but if I give him any more than 24, it'll just shove him in everything, right? But I think Ty Dillon's a great play, especially if we're wanting to pay up for trying to nail the lap leader. I would much rather play Ty Dillon, um, than anybody else in this race at this price. I mean, I'd rather play him over Herbst. I'd obviously rather play him over Cody Ware. Um, I think Ty Dillon can easily hit value today and probably kind of break the slate if he ends up doing over 26. Like, he's gonna actually probably be needed based on how expensive some of these guys up here are and stuff. So those are some of my thoughts on these guys. Like I said, I don't really have much else after that. I'm just following what my projections are showing. Um, and I think that's mainly it. We got 30 minutes for the F1 race. Obviously, I doubt anybody's going to watch this. So thank you guys for being here, Ross and Daryl. Thank you guys for being in the comments and stuff here. Best of luck today in terms of all the slates that you guys might be in or might be out of, or whatever the case may be. I will see you guys tomorrow for the Monday night game, and then I'll see you guys next week to talk NASCAR at Bristol. So best of luck and enjoy your Sunday. See you guys later. Bye bye.